All right. So again, welcome to the Quad County Community Health Worker Table Talk. And tonight our conversation is about the success of women in the military. We have several very distinguished women guests that are here who will share their experience of being in the military and how it was successful for them. We know that success is defined by the individual and how well they maintain and keep up with doing the things that they have intended to do. That's my definition of success. So, and again, each one of them will share with us what success is has been, I should say, and is currently for them. I have actually allowed the mics now and the cameras are on, so our guests can open up their mic as I call out your name. I'll introduce each woman that is on our panel today. But before I do that, I want to first tell you a little bit about the Quad County Urban League. We have been established in Aurora for the past 45 years, and our CEO president is Theodia Gillespie. She has sent her regrets. She actually fell sick this afternoon and wasn't able to join us today. Normally she does our introduction. And so what I am standing in her place to do that. My name is Elisa Williams. I am the Chief of Staff here at Quad County Urban League. And again, as I said, it's been here for 45 years. We have a number of programs that we do for our community in order to provide the tools, resources, and support for folks to become self-sufficient in their life and to provide them with a livable wage. That is our main goal here. And we do that for women and minorities and those who are underserved in our community. Again, we have workforce development, we have youth and education, we of course have the community health workers, and we've recently added the small business administration navigators. So those folks go out and they help people in the community that have small businesses and help them know when grants are available, as well as anything that they need in order to help their business to run more smoothly. Our community health workers do something very similar, going out into the community when they can. But we were really established in order to help folks with COVID so that they could, I will help you out there, so that they could recover from COVID or even have the opportunity to obtain assistance for, I don't know why this keeps turning off, obtain assistance while they were experiencing COVID. I actually have just allowed the mics again and the cameras. I'm not sure why it turned off. Let me know if you're able to, I guess, to know, our panelists should be able to access that now, but I still see the camera shows. Yeah, I see that. I'm actually looking at that myself to see why you're still unable to open your mic. Let's see here. Meeting options, meeting control.
Okay, it's working now.
Ah, okay. There must be Schuber in the background helping me out because again, I've applied this a couple times and it's not sticking. Is everyone able to, I see that Connie is able to open her Dana. Yes, okay. Okay, I think she is actually, I have my technical assistant here, Shubra Cannon, and she is helping me to work on that option to be able to unmute your microphone. Okay. It looks like, yes. So all of our panelists should be able to unmute their microphones. And then I need Barbara to be able to unmute hers as well. Shubra? Ah, okay, here we go. I think you should have access now. I don't see that Christina has access. All right, well, while she's working on that, I believe, Barbara, you do have access to be able to come on the camera now and unmute yourself. So I will introduce Barbara Collins. She is the supervisor for the community health workers. And yeah, you do. You just have to unmute. Okay, there's Dr. Coleman. Okay, here we have Christy. There she is. And I'm saying Christy. Should I be saying Christina?
No, you're good.
Christy is good. Okay. And let's see. Okay, there's Dr. Coleman.
There we go.
And Miss Velma.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, she's working on that. Barbara, do you have access yet? Okay, well, I will give her opportunity again once I introduce. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and introduce our panelists to our guests so that they can know who is here with us. Hi, Dana. Welcome. All right. So we have the Success of Women in the Military, our panel. We have 5 women here today. I want to introduce to you Constance Major. Constance is a military. Her military occupation specialty was 52C, Utilities Equipment Repairer. Essentially, she was heating, ventilation, and air conditioning repairer. In her class, she advanced in the advanced individual training class. She was the first to allow female soldiers. During her 6 years of military service, she received a 1 RCOM and a 2 AAM medals, Army Good Conduct Medal, the Army Service Ribbon, and the Army Overseas Service Ribbon. You'll have to tell us what those are. She achieved the highest qualification, which is expert in weaponry. And then as a result of her service during Desert Storm, when she was deployed there, she injured herself. Well, not she injured herself, she was injured, I should say, excuse me. And then she was she was discharged then from the Army, but it was an honorable discharge. Then we have Dr. Natalie Coleman. She is the CEO of After the Peanut. I cannot wait to hear what this is. Dr. Coleman is a servant leader born and raised in Joliet, Illinois. She has founded her desire to give back and help shape the next generation led her to thrive in the education world. She currently works full-time as the CEO of After the Peanut and serves as county board member for District 10 in Will County. She has 15 years of experience in education and also served as a military police officer in the Illinois Army National Guard. Welcome, Dr. Coleman. We have Ms. Velma Smith Henderson with us as well. Mrs. Henderson she's a proud mother and grandmother, veteran, and friend. As a veteran with a rich story rooted in overcoming oppression, she currently works as a motivational speaker, self-publisher, and author. Ms. Velma signed and she worked successfully to obtain her pharmaceutical technician training. And then as a result of that, she was transferred to Fort Still, Oklahoma, in the pharmacy arena, where she was the first African American woman to obtain this role. She received two promotions within her 2 years and received honorable discharge with a rank of E Sergeant. Ms. Velma spent 1 year in the Army Reserves as Great Lakes Naval Base in North Chicago after serving her country. And the final caveat to that is she wrote a number of books, and she actually has her own publishing company, Nicole Publishing, lovingly named after her daughter, Katrina. Welcome, Ms. Velma Henderson.
Thank you.
We have also Ms. Dana Reyes, and I'm saying Ms. ladies, that's no slight if you're married or not. You can let us know when we get there. But Ms. Dana Reyes, MSW, SSVF Case Manager. Dana was raised in Plainfield and graduated from Plainfield High School. She was stationed, but then she served the U.S. Air Force She is a U.S. Air Force retired veteran serving from August 1996 to July 2014. Okay. Dana was stationed stateside throughout her career, and she received training as a healthcare manager, where she fulfilled many of her duties as a medical records technician, administration, discharge, and NCOIC of medical operations and management positions. When she retired from the U.S. Air Force, Dana felt the calling to continue serving, and she got her master's degree in social work. And now her connection to veterans and experience working with chronically homeless individuals and families led her to the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans as a supportive services for veterans and families. That is the acronym for SSVF, where she works as a case manager. And then we have thank you and welcome, Ms. Dana. Next, we have Christy McNichol. Crystal McNichol. And Christy, we are friends, okay? Christy served in the Army from 2003 to 2006, where she was stationed at Tripler Army Medical Center in Honolulu, Hawaii. I think there's some benefits of going into the service, yes. After completing her enlistment, she utilized her post 911 GI Bill, earning a bachelor's degree in Science of Organizational, Industrial, and Cultural Psychology. Now, while going to school, she started her path of helping veterans as a VA work study at the Grundy County Veterans Assistance Commission. She then went on to be hired at the commission and was appointed superintendent less than a year later. From 2015 to present, Christie's now leadership at the VAC has resulted in a 2,800% increase in federal dollars to veterans served by the VAC of Will County. Thank you, Christy, for joining us tonight. Now, with that said, welcome to each of you. I want to give Barbara an opportunity to tell us a little bit about what she does and the relationship that she's had with inviting the majority of you women tonight.
Did you miss Connie, or did you already introduce Connie?
Yes, I introduced Connie.
Okay.
She was first.
Well, that's when I was having an issue. So, all right. I'm so glad all of you were able to join. You know, everyone here is so special. And, you know, when I had to come up with something for this month, and I knew it was Women's History Month, I thought of women veterans. And I really wanted to kind of handpick you guys because you guys have done some incredible things in the community and continue to do so. And I learned a lot about each one of you, especially you, Dr. Coleman. I didn't know anything about you before, but again, Larry Crawford mentioned you, our Minister Larry Crawford. Yes. So he mentioned her and found out so much. In fact, I saw you were with the mayor of Chicago. Was that last week or Lori the other day? I don't know.
I was there about a month ago, but yeah, I was fortunate enough to meet her and take a picture.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, our community health workers, we do so much, we've had over a period of months where we've really helped a lot of people with the different resources that they've needed, people that were in isolation, people that were really sick, and we were able to provide services that they needed, whether it was food or mental health recommendations or just a series of things that community health workers have been able to do. And because of the change and the mandates have changed now, and so the numbers are low, we are in the process of doing more outreach and education. So, the CHW Table Talk is just one of the mechanisms to educate the community on people and what's going on. So I just want to thank all of you for joining. I'm so appreciative of seeing each of you. And then there's Christy. Christy, I was just thinking about, Christy has housed some veterans that have been homeless for years, and she was amazing. And her and I have worked in a couple of different capacities. So I've seen the work that Christy has been able to do. And I just think of George, and George was, one of the veterans that she was able to house that had been homeless for many, many years. So she's done some incredible work in the community. So welcome. Thank you all. And looking forward to continuing to be in touch with you guys.
Right, thank you, Barbara.
Okay.
Barbara Collins, our supervisor for the community health workers. She's been a very strong foundation for especially the community health worker table talk, because she has a wealth of her network goes well beyond what we always expect. So we appreciate that. With that said, I want to make sure I welcome Connie, because I know I don't know if you were able to hear, but I introduced you first. And so I wanted to come back to you, Connie, with our questions, just so that we could get the conversation started, so we can hear from you all. And again, this is to acknowledge and pay tribute to our female veterans. We know that you all have contributed to our country, so we first want to say thank you to that. But I want to ask the obvious question: how did you come to the decision to join the military? And I want to start with Ms. Connie first.
Good evening, everyone. My decision to join the military was purely economic. At the time, I was in the process of a divorce. I had 2 children. I was trying to find work. I was a student at Cal State University. And I decided that I needed to do something different. Even though education was important at that particular moment in time in my life, being able to provide for my children, my 2 children, were what was more important to me than anything else. So I joined the military in Stockton, California, and I left out of the MEPS in Fresno, California. So that was my motivational force for joining the military.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know. It was a financial decision.
Exactly.
Very good. All right, Dr. Coleman.
Hello. Thank you for having me on today.
Yes.
My decision to join the military was kind of twofold. I had been a part of teams my entire life, but unfortunately, U of I didn't see my basketball talent, so they didn't draft me to the team down in Champaign. And so I don't know if ROTC approached me. I was not in ROTC in high school, but they were like, oh, we'll cover the cost of college. They helped me move my stuff in. And my sister was going to Illinois State at the time. And I was like, well, I think I could kind of relieve my parents of some financial requirements to help me through college. And so I joined. And that was pretty much it. I'm happy that I did. It was going to college was a good decision, but joining the military was the best decision I think I've made in my life.
Oh, wow. I think I need to hear more about that.
Yeah. Christy knows. I know Christy very well. She knows. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Velma, can you share with us how did you come to your decision to join the military?
Yes, good evening, good afternoon, or evening, and thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you for being with us.
I was almost like the first lady. I was almost divorced. I was almost divorced and still halfway married. And I was working at the VA hospital on the west side of Chicago through a CETA program. I was a lab technician. It seemed like every job that I had was dead ends. So I went to my supervisor and I said, I'm going to the military. He said, when? I said, tomorrow. He said, tomorrow? I said, yep, I got to go. So it was a great experience for me and then probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made. I only want regret that I didn't stay in and retire. I stayed in for 4 years. I wish I had stayed in. So I went to the military and it was great for me.
Excellent. That is exciting. I'm going to hear more about why you wish you had stayed. I'm going to come back to
Okay.
Dr. Coleman to find out the best decision in her life. And then I'm going to go to Miss Dana Reyes. Can you share with us your story?
Yes, I will. And hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. There's going back to 1996, at the time, I just think I needed more direction, and I wasn't really exactly sure what I wanted to do with my life. I was going to junior college, and it was kind of like dead end for me. I was just taking classes just to take them. And so I met someone who was actually in the reserves, Air Force Reserves, and she had told me all about the training and how she, she came back and, didn't stay away, but I wanted to go and not come back. So I wanted to, just kind of see what was out there and just travel and experience the world, which I didn't have the opportunity to travel. I stayed stateside, but I still got to see a lot and do a lot and get the training, and I'm where I'm at today because of the experience I had in the Air Force.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, that sounds exciting. And so you love travel, huh? Have you done travel since you've been out?
No, I have not. I have just been really busy with just life and finishing school and trying to kind of reestablish myself after retirement. But someday I hope to travel.
Oh, if the bug is in you, believe me, it'll come. Miss Christie, my friend. Your story.
So I made the decision at a young age to join the military. My dad's best friend was actually active in the Army, and so was his wife. And I can remember them sending us MREs when I was in like junior high. And I thought those MREs, meals I eat, those bag meals that you see that the military eats, I just thought those things were delicious, and I wanted more of them. And then I got see, everybody's laughing because they're not all they're cracked up to be once you don't have an option to eat them. Yeah. So I graduated high school and told my parents I wanted to join the military, and they told me I was crazy. So I didn't. So I went to college. They paid. I had some money set aside for college. I blew through that money real quick, and then much like everybody else that's already spoke about, I needed something different. I needed change. I needed to leave. I needed direction, and I needed something that was going to have a positive influence on my life that I could take control over and make that decision in the best interest of me and mine. And that's when I joined, and I will agree with Dr. Coleman. It was the best decision I ever made.
Wow. This is very interesting to me. Because my husband and I were just talking last night, because he was in the military. He was in the Marines. And he's talking about my grandson who, he seems to think he needs to go into the military. My husband thinks that my grandson needs to go into the military because he, like you just said, he needs a change. He needs to leave. He needs direction. And I was like, no. But my mind is already like opening because of all the things that you all are saying. So with that, I want to go back to Dr. Coleman and Miss Velma. You all, and I know you said it, Chrissy, you kind of explained it to us. Why was it the best decision? I mean, what made it, because I thought about going to the military, but
Mhm.
then I was chicken. I was chicken. I didn't want to go to war. There was no war going on, I don't even think, during that time. But just the idea of the rigorous training in that, I think I probably shied away from it because of those things. But Dr. Coleman, why do you think it was like the best decision?
I'll try to make this brief. Be the To sum it up, I'm 42. I'm about to get emotional. This is so weird. I'm 42. I made that decision at 18,
Yeah.
and the impact that it has on where I am in life right now is how I can say it was the best decision.
Okay.
So let's talk about it from a financial perspective.
Okay.
I graduated from college with no debt. I had a classmate literally crying on graduation day because she owed $17,000 in credit card bills, which might have been school related, might not have been, I don't know, right? And here I am years later, I never paid for school. Not one, like, well, not, I paid, like, they throw in these tacky
Yes.
computer fees and some other fees here and there. But like, for the most part, every degree I have, I haven't paid for. And I'm saying that because a lot of people are still paying back their student loans. Like, everyone's like, Joe, Uncle Joe, when you waiving these, student loans away? And I'm like, I can't imagine it, because I was the type of person, I had friends who went to school to be doctors and dentists, and they got all these loans, and they just like, I just paid every month. And I'm like, I would feel like walls were crashing in on me, because I like financial freedom, because it gives you freedom to do other things. So financially, it was tremendously beneficial. And so then I think, like, I just always like being part of a team. My junior high teachers came to my graduation, and they say that they saw some things in me. A few of them came, not all of them. And I guess being in a leadership position is cool, but I don't really care about being in the leadership position. I care about what it does for the people. So I found the people for me are kids, because some of them come from different environments. They don't get exposure to certain things. And I have had some good things in my life. And I'm like, well, if I still feel a little slighted in some spaces, I wonder how they feel. And so it's just made me what people call today a servant leader. I think about legacy. I have a lot of nieces and nephews. I don't have my own children. But I feel like what you do in this world should leave a positive influence on somebody else, not just make you wealthy, not just make you look good or you have all these accolades. So the military built me strong and tough. They got me drinking water still. I look at my weight like, man, I need to get back, not to the weight I was, but it's like, it has this discipline. When I set my mind to something, it's just go. Last thing I'll say, I went outside 2 days ago to take my trash out, and it was like 6 a.m. and it was quiet and peaceful, and like, it wasn't cold, wasn't hot. And it reminded me of ROTC in college, because I had to get up on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays and be at the Armory. And it was just a quiet time. And I realized early in the morning, you can have some quiet time and quiet space for yourself. So it's all these little things that remind me of when I was in the military, the friendships that were formed. It's people I went to Iraq with, haven't seen them since we got back 20 years ago. We're friends on Facebook. And it's like, if I see them, it's going to be this camaraderie that was not with any other group or organization I know. Sure. So it's just made it, people don't realize, like they say, the decisions you make play a role in your life years to come. And like, it's just been beneficial. Even when people say, how can you as a Black woman have been in the military, and Uncle Sam this, and you fight the country and they killing Black. And I'm like, look, there are good and bad things in
no other country. That's why they say that.
Say that again. Yeah.
To another country. That's why they say that.
It's just, it's not that I don't think about those things, but there's a space for fighting that, situation, which is, some of the things that I do, like trying to improve education for kids leads to better lives for them. So it was the best decision.
Very good. Ms. Velma, share with us why your best decision ever.
Well, I'm probably gonna have to write another book to tell you the whole story. I just tell you some of it today. Well, I had been in Chicago for about 15 years. I was
Yeah.
already had turned 30 years old.
Mhm.
And my friend said, "You're going to go to the military at 30. You're going to be 33 years old when you get out." I said, "Well, if I live, I'm still going to be 33. But I'm going to be 33 with something that I didn't have." I only had 2 years of college from Mississippi Valley State University before I went in. And that just wasn't enough for me. I had friends who was older than I am that was still paying student loan. I promised God I would never get a student loan.
Yeah.
So I was able to get my bachelor's degree while I was on duty at Fort Sill. And after I came out of the military, I got my master's degree. I never paid one penny for any education. I only paid for my books. The jobs that I had to me was dead end. The Army made it possible for me when I came home from the military. Guess what? The state of Illinois was looking for a female veteran. I said, here I am.
Here I am.
Stayed there 23 years. I've been retired for 14 years. I'm able to look out of my window at the guy do the snow. I don't have to go out to do anything.
Mm.
So God has blessed me, and the state of Illinois has blessed me with a beautiful pension. So
Excellent.
I don't have to do anything but pray to God and to thank Him and live. So that's why it was the best decision of my life.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. I love to hear these stories because, again, you can hear so much negativity, right? You can
Mhm.
hear about the barriers, you can hear about the discrimination, you can hear about the violence, you can hear about so many things. But really, again, this is why we wanted to exclamate the success of women in the military.
Yep.
So I'm going to move to Miss Dana. I know that you are a part of what's the organization that you are a part of? I don't have it here.
Midwest Shelter for Homeless
Yes,
Veterans.
yes, yes. Tell us about that. Tell us about how you landed there. I know it kind of took you from your degree and your work in the Air Force, but tell us about that.
So I my internship, my first internship was at Morningstar, and that kind of opened up my eyes to like the homelessness, um like the issues with homelessness, and to see families and veterans become homeless, and just the struggles that they go through and the barriers. I went through some difficulties after I retired from the Air Force. I found myself essentially homeless. As I had support, I had family, but I think so, my pride. It was a little, hard to kind of share with my family the difficulties I was going through. And so when I did finally um come home after my struggles and things that I was going through, I showed up at Christy's office, and it kind of all went from there. I got enrolled in school, and and just kind of made the choice that I would not go down that path, and that I would not allow myself to struggle. And I had to put the work in. I had I had to change things in my life, because I think retiring from the Air Force, I had a small pension, but it was not enough to like survive or sustain without something more. I had a lot of training in the military as a healthcare manager, but I did not have like the credentials, the licensing or certifications that I needed to be able to be marketable in the civilian world. So I kind of just took that in, my experiences, and just wanted to kind of give back, all of the help and assistance that I got and the support. um I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't had that help. And I'm just so grateful for everyone that helped me along the way. So this is my way of kind of giving back and serving veterans and their families, and making sure that they don't that that they find housing, and that they get the support they needed to be successful and not, to move on. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of like my story and how I ended up where I'm at.
Excellent, excellent. Now you mentioned Christy. So Christy, tell us more about the Veterans Assistance Commission. And then Connie, I'm coming to you because I want to know about your deployment.
So I transitioned into the Veterans Assistance Commission roles. When I got out of the military, I was the acting NCOIC of the Adult Medicine Clinic, which is where I learned about the disconnect between the DoD and the VA. And then when I transitioned out, I was hired back in the Adult Medicine Clinic as a civilian, which then gave me a whole nother perspective. But when I came back home, I thought, I married a Marine, which I will tell you was a mistake because I'm not divorced, but I do.
Married to one too.
My son came out of it, so it wasn't a total mistake, but that's totally different. But when I came back home, I was a newly transitioned veteran and I thought I knew it all. And I showed up back at Joliet Junior College and talked to my old counselor who now turned into the vet rep role. And she said, hey, you should go talk to this guy named Ken Buck at the Grundy County VAC. And I said, what the heck is a VAC? So I actually applied for a position there, a staff position. And he was like, nah, you need to be a VA work study. We need to get you acclimated to all this stuff. So in Grundy County is when my eyes really opened up to the VA world, to what was actually out there for veterans to take advantage of, and how appreciative communities are of their veterans, and how community partners really just want to help. They want to help. They want to be involved. They want to know what's going on, and they want to also help serve veterans. So the position opened up in Will County after about 8 months doing a work study, and I was hired on here. And then 6 months later, I was appointed the superintendent. And that's when I really had the opportunity to hit the ground running and find gaps in the service from DOD to VA, because there's a lull right there. And that's what Dana was talking about, is like when you get out and you transition, you're on top of the world on Monday, and then on Tuesday, you're nothing. You're not in the military, you're not part of a team like, Natalie said. That team is still going on playing their game, and you're sitting, in your bedroom trying to pick out what clothes to wear. And you haven't even had to do that on a Tuesday, for the past however many years. So we, my staff and I at the, back in 2013 to now, we've grown, and we've, ended veteran homelessness in Will County, and that was through community partners. We got, when Dana, came in, I'm so proud of you, by the way, Dana. When she came in, her story is not uncommon.
Yeah.
So we tried to make it to where, and we're still working towards that every day, because it's been years. I mean, I think I've been here 11 years now. Things change all the time, but we don't want anybody to feel how Dana felt. So we go out there and we do community outreach, and we find gaps in services. And, if Dana's program can't assist with a homeless veteran, we work on creating a program that can, till Dana's program can pick them up and roll that way. And then in the meantime, we get them enrolled in VA healthcare and VA benefits. And that's the statistic, is like, there's so many veterans that are in Will County that don't know what they qualify for, and don't understand that, once you let the VA know that you're here, you're literally checking a box to tell the VA, hey, we need services here. Here's another vet that's in this community, and we need services. So at the VAC, we look at everybody holistically. So, Dana came out and she, needed that community support. So we weren't looking at her as an Air Force retired veteran, and that's the only hat she wears. We're looking at her like she wants to be a student. She wants to be successful. She is a female. Same with like Dr. Coleman. She might be a vet, but she played basketball. She and I actually played basketball against each other in high school, and we didn't figure that out until we met each other, almost 20 years later.
Wow.
And now she does. I could talk about Dr. Coleman's After the Peanut forever. 'Cause my
Well, we
son's enrolled
there-
in her program, right? And it's amazing. But that's a hat, and that's one of her identifiers that we need to take into consideration as VACRS service providers, that a veteran's not just a veteran. A veteran's a female, it's a male, it's a mom, it's a dad, it's a grandpa, it's an auntie, it's all of those things. And that's the mission of the VAC, and that's what we try to accomplish with everybody that walks through the door. Because nobody comes through our door having a good day.
Right.
You know, same thing with you guys, I'm sure. So
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you're right. You're right.
That
Good.
sounds like a lot of work that's being done in the community. And you're in Grundy County.
I'm in Will County. So I did my
Will?
VA, I did my VA work study in Grundy, which is in Morris. And then I'm in Will County right now. So we're right across we're on Glenwood, right by St. Joe's Hospital, if you're
Got it.
familiar with Will, but.
Okay. All right, Miss Connie, I see that you were in Desert Storm, deployed to Desert Storm. I need to know more about what that is and how that happened, and what was your experience being on the, I'm saying on the front line. I don't know if you were on the front line, but you were on the line.
Actually, I was not on the front line because I was injured in transition on our way to Desert Storm.
Oh, wow.
So I actually never made it to the desert.
Oh,
What happened with me was during the time when we were getting all of our tanks and our trucks and everything prepared, a couple of the soldiers wanted to play a prank on me. And so they called me up on top of a water tank. So I was standing on top of it, and they handed me a hose. I was holding the hose and just looking still straight ahead talking. And one of the guys turned the hose on. But it was one of the same hoses that firemen use. And it has that metal tip on the end. And because I was only holding it with one hand, I wasn't securely holding it. And they knew it was going to knock me, but they didn't expect it to swing up and hit me in the head. But it actually swung up. It came up out of the tanker and it hit me in the head. The last thing I remember was standing there talking. 3 days later, I woke up, I was in the hospital. And so they gave me the option of staying in or leaving because I had a head injury and it was an open wound. They said that I could get out. I had had several seizures while I was in the hospital, but they had gotten the seizures under control. I had at that time a 2-month-old baby. And so I just decided I would go ahead and take the discharge because once they told me I was okay, there was no seizures, and I didn't remember any of it. I took the discharge.
okay.
After I got out, however, it was probably about 7 months later, I started having seizures again, immediately back to back to back. But I did not have a medical discharge. So I went to the VA initially to try to get help. And at that time, there was no one that could explain to me my options. I got out of the military in 1989, which would have been sooner, a lot earlier than some of you all did. During that time frame, they didn't have a full-fledged women's clinic. They didn't have the services for female veterans that are available now. So once I took the discharge, I didn't realize that I had actually put myself in a position that there should have been things that was afforded to me that wasn't available.
Yeah.
So I had to go through the VA and apply for services. I was denied. I was denied twice.
And that was because you didn't have the medical discharge.
Because I didn't have the medical discharge. So I wasn't going to get the services. I was not going to receive benefits. I didn't receive anything. Now the plus side of it is because I was in the military, there were a lot of opportunities on the outside that was available to me, because now we're talking about full-fledged Desert Storm. So people are aware that there's military members that's overseas, military members that's fighting. And this is not something that you think about when you're looking at a movie and you see a Good Morning Vietnam or a Platoon. This is something that's completely different now. Now it is televised. Now you can see what the soldiers are going through and what they're experiencing. And then you can also see what they're going through when they come back. Yes. So it was a completely different climate by that time. So it was more open. There were more opportunities open to veterans. So initially when I got out, I immediately was able to get a job. I worked for the St. Joseph's Hospital originally. doing medical records. Knew nothing about it. They hired me on the spot because I was a veteran. I took that job, and then I applied to work for the city. Got a job working in the library. I was happy at the library because I love to read. But while I was at the library, my ex-husband was applying for a job in working as a plant operator, and they needed 3 veterans. Only 2 showed up. So the gentleman said, well, since there's only 2, we can't interview you. I had rode with him. I was sitting in the car. So he says to the man, well, my wife is a veteran. Can you interview her so that we can have all 3 people, so you can have 3 people to interview? He said, sure, let her come on in. So I came in and I interviewed, and I was hired for that position. That was part of the downfall of our marriage, because he could not take the fact that I had gotten the job that he really wanted. But it was a blessing, because even though I didn't know what an operator was, I thought I was going to be on the phone. I actually ended up working in a chemical plant, which I would have preferred anyway, because I'm more acclimated because of my job in the military to doing jobs that do not require me to sit behind a desk all the time in one spot.
Sure.
So my military experience actually was a blessing. Then later on, one of the ladies at my church who worked for VA found out about my seizures. She kept telling me to reapply, and I kept saying, okay, I'm gonna do it. Well, she showed up at church one Sunday, and she had all of the forms, and she made me sit there and fill out everything. And then she took them back and turned them in. I initially got a 60% rating, but the seizures were so bad, they gave me 100%. And that allowed me actually to go through the vocational rehabilitation program. And I was able to go back to school, and I got my bachelor's degree. The plus side, just as some of the other women said, my difference was that I didn't get a GI Bill. Instead, I took the loan repayment, because I already had 3 years of college and 3 years of student loans through Cal State University. So I was able to get all of my loans repaid. My debt was taken care of. And then when I went through the vocational rehabilitation program, they bought me computers, they bought all of my books, they even paid for my supplies, my internet. And then I just took my classes that way. So even though I was hurt, I always look at whatever happens in my life. I look back and I see that it serves one purpose or another. Right now, I'm a full-time minister. One of the things that I wanted to do and that I had prayed about was to be a full-time minister. I just needed the time, and I needed the money to be able to support myself while I was doing that. And so that came about. And then later on, I went from 100%. After 10 years, I went to 100% permanent and total, which means that it cannot be taken away. I don't have to go back for any more doctor's visits or anything to just, to make sure that I still have the illness. It's there. So now my life and my income is secure.
Wow, this is some amazing stories here. Just, I am blown away, because many of you have endured much, as well as have come out and have become a catalyst for others in order to not only understand and see the benefit of being in the military, but also the benefits of coming out of the military. How about that? I don't think I've had that part of the story before, the benefits coming out of the military. So one of the things I wanted to also talk about, and I know we questions, some of them, is in your career choices. You talked a lot about how the military influenced your career choices. What are some of the memorable experiences in the military where you felt, when you were in the military, where you felt it, your involvement as a woman? Because let me just give you the caveat, is that, and I just heard this, is that women can still make a difference. We can change the world, create change. Women's biggest superpower is that we know how to build community. Now tell me how that applies. We know how our superpower is, we know how to build community. You've talked a lot about team, and I know that the team was not just women, it was not just men, it was a combination of all of that. But in that building community, again, your experience in the military, how did your involvement in the military help others? And just raise your hand, whoever wants to go first. All right, I'll call on Dr. Coleman. Go ahead.
So going back to like wanting to always be a part of a team.
Yeah.
So
Let me just say, because you played basketball, both of you.
yeah, like
What
it was
team
just,
were you on?
I played in junior high and high school, like
Okay.
at Washington Junior High. But I will say this, my friends crack. We won third place when I was in seventh grade, and no other girls team has done anything since 1990 something.
Wow.
And I coached there for a while, and I tried to get the teams back. So maybe at the end of this life, I'm gonna get a girls team.
That girls team to
from
go
that
and get that.
that banner on the wall. I can't. Every time I go, and I'm like, yeah, I was on that team. So yeah, I've always enjoyed being part of a team. I think what has been the most benefit for me in the military is learning about other people and the diversity just of Americans, right? So growing up, I grew up in a very isolated neighborhood. No kids. Forget, like, no kids. Like, why did my parents move over here? There's no kids. There's nobody over. It's 4 houses on the block. So like being out at church and in school, I was surrounded primarily by Black women, Black people, right? And so my friends are Black people, right? And that's good. That's like what most people do. But when I joined the military, it was people from Chicago, it was people from down Southern Illinois, because I was in the National Guard. And I just met such a great group of people. So being stationed in Iraq, I lived in a tent with the truckers, the mechanics. And I was a platoon leader. So Christy knows, like, why were you in the tent with those? Like, but it was peaceful in this tent. They spent a lot of time fixing the vehicle, so the tent was empty a lot, and I could rest, because in my platoon tent, it was a lot of noise. Mm-hmm. So that became a family. We made up holidays in Iraq, this tent group of mine, and celebrated them, right? I spent 2 birthdays over there. So I met these people, and I know them like the back of my hand from 20 years ago. So building that friendship with complete strangers, but we're on the same mission. The other piece is, out of the 5 leaders, the 5 officers that I was with in Iraq, I was the only woman and I was the only minority. It was 4 white guys and me. And I feel like it's just, maybe, I'm not gonna call it luck. It's blessing, it's a covering, it's God's grace. I ain't had no problems, because they kind of knew, you don't want to bother Lieutenant Coleman. I can do the same job that these gentlemen could do, so it was kind of like, I felt like I had to be strong, so then I was strong, right? Because that's what everyone's seeing. And if I had a moment that I needed to myself, I took it, right? I missed home, I missed my parents, but being a strong woman in the military and avoiding some of the traps, there's a lot of relationships over there in the desert that was just because we was in the desert. And I'm like, y'all gotta avoid this, right? I know people are lonely and miss at home, but like, I was just I was like a mother at 23 for a lot of people, so, but building that relationship with the women that I was with, building a relationship with the people I stayed in the tent, are 2 of the most memorable experiences I have from being in the military, about community and, family and friends.
Sure. And I know you were stateside, Dana. Did you have any of those experiences at being a part of the team, or building community, or being involved with other folks in your platoon, I guess is the word?
So my experience in the Air Force, in the military, everything is about like teams and togetherness. There's no like individuality. I mean, you can try and stand out, but for me, I wasn't the one that like to stand out. I kind of, I was more, and maybe there was opportunities, or maybe some saw me as a leader. I just never really, considered myself as a female veteran, or a Air Force tech sergeant was, when I was active duty. We there was any mission, anything that we did that was like a big deal, it was something that we did together. I never felt like I could take credit for anything that I did as an individual. I you know, they want us to be not only take do well in our job, they also want us to do well like in the community and in self-improvement and so they wanted us to be like well-rounded individual and I felt like I did that. I mean, I had to because you would get your yearly evaluation and you had to kind of show that you were involved in your community, and that you were part of your organization, whether it was, being part of uh, the booster club. And so I always did stuff like that. It did keep me involved and it kept me busy and things that you just kind of had to do. We were kind of voluntold to do things. I was a PT leader, so I would have to like lead these um, physical training kind of group PT. Um, I loved running, so that was something that, not everybody enjoyed in the Air Force, especially in the Air Force, because our focus isn't physical training. And so like at some point, it started to become more a part of our training, everyday training, because we went from doing a bike test to you actually had to run 1.5 miles and you had to do it within a certain amount of time. So because I loved running, that was always kind of my, thing that everyone would like kind of call me out or try and, lead the group. So, I think my leaders kind of saw how quiet and soft spoken I was and shy, and maybe I came across as maybe lacking confidence. So they were always trying to do things to help me, you know, build my confidence. And I appreciated it. And, and it would make me so mad because I would be, like kind of trying to say, I don't want to do that, but in the military, you don't get really,
You don't get enough.
you're just kind of told to do things. And so, I was a good sport about it though. I did so many cool things. I got to rappel off the side of a building just through training, and
Wow.
it wasn't anything I ever saw myself doing, and it was always my squadron or my NCIC that was always just pushing me to do things that were out of my comfort zone, and I'm so glad I did because I mean it's just. Now I can say, it's cool, like I got to rappel off the side of the building like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay, for your repelling. That's a wonderful thing. It sounds like the military not only serves itself, and of course it doesn't, but the individual in bringing out your gifts and talents, whatever those may be it running, be it leading, be it whatever that talent is. It seems like there's room for it to be birthed. And Ms. Velma, so for you, when you were a part of the military, and again, you were part of a different time,
Yes.
how was your involvement as a woman, and especially an African American woman? How were you able to become involved in the community and in the internal community, and then find where you could have impact?
Well, I was the oldest one in my barrack, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
because I was already 30 years old. These was kids. These kids were just leaving home for the first time.
Yeah.
So they all referred to me as mom. When they had a problem with a boy they just met, don't even know his name, they come to me and they ask me what should they do. They get married when they go out on the pass. They come back, they're married.
Mm.
And they always called me mom. And I always was a leader. They looked at me as a mother figure.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any children, but they looked at me and they said, hey, let's go ask mom what to do. So when I did get into the pharmaceutical training, my sergeant, although there was other people that outranked me, he selected me to become the narcotic technician. And I had to make sure that all the narcotics was in the vault. Every last one pill had to be there. Then when you start working with narcotics, you start getting a lot of friends. You know, people that you don't even know. Then now they want to say, "Oh, you want to go to lunch with me?" No, I do not.
Right.
You trying to put me in jail? No. So I was a leader in the military. I used the PT thing, yeah, saying the cadence and running through the bushes in Alabama or whatever. And the military was so great for me with physical training, because before I went to the military, I used to drive 2 blocks to the store. Now, Katrina's not gonna like this, but now at 74 years old, I walk 6 miles every day.
Believe me, she's told me all about it.
And I bet I could outwalk any 40-year-old with no problem. So I still have that military in me. I still have that strictness in me. So I became supervisor at most of my jobs, the state of Illinois. And one of my employers used to say, and one thing about Miss Henderson, she treat all of us the same. She treat all of us bad. So I said, yeah, that's right. I just want you to do your work. So I'm real stickler on time. I kept asking Katrina, are they going to put me on this video today? Because I'm a stickler for time. You got to be on time for me. It gets me very nervous when things don't happen on time. And so in all of my jobs with the state of Illinois, she talked about, one of the ladies talked about vocation and rehab services. That's where I started out at, as a VR counselor. And we did so much for people who didn't know that the service was even out there for them. Even though I'm retired, I still get people, employees calling me now, Miss Henderson, I have this case here. What should I do? I said, but I've been retired 14 years. They say, I know that, but you still know your stuff. And I do. Not bragging, but I know my stuff, you know. So as a leader, I guess I could be a leader in my family. I came from a family of 14 siblings.
Oh, wow.
And by me going into the military, it was kind of difficult for me. I came from a plantation in Mississippi. So you all probably wasn't even born, most of you. So I know what hard work is. I picked and chopped cotton until I was 17 years old. But that's what made me know that there's something else for me, and no one going to define my life for me. So I kept going to school, kept going. And I got to this place in life where I wanted to be. And I didn't sit in the corner to have a pity pot party to say, oh, I came from the plantation, I picked cotton, and my mother had 14 of us. We had to eat rice and bread. That didn't bother me. It made me to be more motivated. So as a person, I'm still the leader. I'm walking in the park and I have people stopping me. Oh, I see you every day. You walk every day. It seems like they want me to be their leaders. I don't even know them. I'm like, yeah, I walk every day. I say, good for you to walk. You should walk. So I meet people very easily because I talk to everything that can talk back.
Yes.
So that's my life.
Okay.
Christy, with the disparity and inequities and all those things being tossed about in this atmosphere today, how are you seeing those in your role at the VAC, where you're helping people, but then you see where they may be experiencing these types of disparities or inequities in their lives? And let me know if I'm asking the right question for the right organization.
Yeah, so I can answer that. We've always seen them. It's just now other people are paying attention.
Okay. Okay.
Everything that goes on in the military that, you hear the bad stories, that walks through our door every day. The inequities, you can talk about, we discussed, the financial reasons and the financial, pluses we've all received from joining the military and how it's led us down, a successful path.
Yeah.
There's the opposite end of the spectrum as well. And now that things are coming out in the news about, the ugly side of the military, it's always been there. We've always seen it, military sexual trauma wasn't even a thing, until recently. The don't ask, don't tell, that was it. You know what I mean? All of that, we've always seen that. And, the governor just passed a bill in regards to the don't ask, don't tell, and then Congress just passed a bill with if somebody was discharged for, you know, being in during that time and they got a poor discharge, that's no longer allowed. You don't get barred from VA services based on that anymore.
And are we going back and then reversing that for those who actually experienced the effects of that?
Yeah, yeah. That, I mean, that's been a thing for a long time. You know, we do discharge upgrades, and we've done discharge upgrades for people that were received a less than honorable discharge for, you know, being, you know, gay. We do all that stuff.
Sure.
It's just now, and I think, you know, thanks to, you know, social media and the internet and people communicating, or at least starting a conversation on these topics, thanks to the internet and, you know, all that stuff, it's now being talked about. Whereas
Yeah.
before, you didn't ask and you didn't tell and you didn't do anything about it. And now, because of forums like this, these conversations are coming out, you know, good, bad, and ugly, but they're all good if it starts a positive trend and moving forward.
Yes, yes, yes.
Definitely.
So I want to come to bringing our talk to a close almost. I have two more questions. I want you to tell me about your most memorable time in the military. And then I want you to, we're going to wrap it up with giving some advice to women who are interested in going into the military. So I'll start with you, Ms. Connie. What was one of your most memorable times in the service that you were in?
Okay, and I don't know if you can hear the sound in the background, and if you can, I'm sorry, excuse me, I am at church. So there's I'm in the pastor's office, and I think I can hear, so I'm not sure if you can as well. So excuse me if you can. I want to say probably that the most memorable, I actually joined the military first. I was the first female in my family to join the military.
Okay.
And after I joined, I had a cousin that joined, but then my sister joined. And so I had an opportunity, my older sister, she's 4 years older than me, to actually be in the military with her at the same time, and then meet up at Fort Riley, Kansas, which was it was phenomenal because I actually enjoyed my time while I was in the military. Everything about it, you know, there was some bad things, but the good things overshadowed all of the bad. And so to be able to experience my military service and then be able to experience it with my big sister. And then my mom and my other sister packed up and moved to Kansas. So we were all together for a while until I left and went to Germany, and then she went to Washington State. So it was just, it was actually a blessing to be able to see not only the change in her, because she was very shy, just as the other young lady said, she was very shy and reserved. After her military service, she was not that person that was in the shell anymore. And then I was able to temper my personality, which was just the opposite of her. You know, I was the loud one. I was the baby. So I had that you know, I had an energy about me, but it taught me more discipline along with my energy. So I know now how to channel my energy towards something specific and just not be all over the place with my energy. So just being able to embrace my military service, but then also talk to other women and explain to them that it's not the scary machine that they think it is. That there's a lot of benefits to it. And this, sometimes we don't look at the benefits because we're so busy looking at the fear that's associated with it. And so to be able to enlighten people and let them know, it's not like you think. You know, I went home every day. I didn't live in the barracks. I lived in an apartment. So I did my 9 to 5. And when I left, I'm saying 9 to 5, that was my work time. Of course, I had to go in for PT in the morning, but I went in for PT, went home, took a shower, changed clothes, came back for first formation. And then after that, I went to work. When it was all and done and it was 5 o'clock, I got in my car and I drove home to my children and to my husband. So a lot of people don't realize that.
I didn't know something like that was possible.
Oh yes, and if you have a family, and my family lived on post, so since they were living in post housing, I went home to my family every night, unless we were either in the field, or if something went on and they called an alert and we had to come in, then I would have to stay until the alert was cleared, and then I could go home. So a lot of people don't realize that. So it was more like a regular job for me. You know, now of course, if you're not married and you don't live off post and you live somewhere else, or you live in the barracks, of course it's going to be the way that you would envision it. But those of us that were married or that had children or whatever, we went home. I went home in the evening. So
nice. Good to know. Good to know. Miss Dana, what is your most memorable experience in the military?
It's so hard to kind of pinpoint a favorite memory. Um, there are just so many memories and so many good times and opportunities that are just so lasting for me. That I did towards the end of my career, though, I did get to participate in the inauguration. And so that was, I would say, pretty cool for me to be able, to be out there, part of the parade, and be able to salute the president as he drove by. And that was a really cool experience. And just the whole day and just everything, because we had to also do we had to do a practice, and so it was like a couple of days of just being out on Pennsylvania Avenue and preparing for the inauguration, and it was um, just just the whole thing, the whole event. I wish I could be a part of it again. So
Yeah.
that's just how memorable it was.
Which president?
Oh, Barack Obama.
Oh, wow. Very good. Well, congratulations. That is memorable, whichever president it was, to be involved in the inauguration. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It was really cool. I loved the opportunity, like I said, and that was towards the end of my career, so that was a nice way to end.
Excellent, excellent. Miss Christie, what was your most memorable time?
I would say you guys, in my intro, you introduced how I was stationed at the best sandbox in the world, being Hawaii.
Yes, yes.
I would say every memory from living there was the best memory. I mean, I will never be able to do that probably ever again.
Yeah.
But what I took away from the military that, I think fondly on is the friendships and the relationships you build while you're in the military. I mean, I have friends back at home when I'll talk about, my best friend Krista, and they're like, "Oh, when's the last time you saw Krista? 6 years ago." Well, how's she your best friend?
Yeah.
How is she not my best friend?
Exactly.
And you build those bonds with people that you served with, and like Dr. Coleman was saying before, I don't need to talk to you for 20 years, but I know when I see you on year 21, we're going to pick up right where we left off.
Yes.
That's just where it's at. And I have not found anything outside the military, nor did I have anything before I joined the military where you felt that connection. And I think going back to like why are women's powers is to be part of a community. When you're in the military, you don't have the option to be alone. So you are part of a community, and you learn how to build and form relationships within that community, and that would be my most memorable thing, is the relationship building and how those bonds, I mean, they don't break ever.
And do you think that opportunity to be in that environment, to build those type of relationships, does that then carry, I'm sure it does, carry over into your personal life outside of the military and how you build relationships with others?
Yeah. And I don't really know if it's always, when the carryover comes, I don't know if it's ever really positive. I'll speak for my personal experience. My standards on my circle of people are significantly higher post-military than they were pre-military. And that's it's just different. It's just different now.
Yes.
And also try not to be like super negative. It's just different. Like you just learn a different side of people that you don't find on the other side of the DD-214. you don't have the opportunity to get there. Maybe it's situational, I don't know, or environmental, but it's just not there. I mean, the work ethic, like Ms. Henderson was saying, that work ethic in the military, I just spoke to somebody yesterday who worked with a veteran in a different agency, and we said, what are your experiences with veterans? And she's like, I've never met a group of people that has a work ethic like the veterans do, because that's something that you either keep up or you get out. And you want to keep up because of the friendships and the bonds and the camaraderie and everything you get to be a part of when you're in the military.
Yeah.
So I think, even though that's not necessarily like a favorite memory, I lived in Hawaii. I mean, it's really hard to pick one favorite memory. I can pick like favorite patients and, you know, things that changed. But as far as memory goes, I mean,
it was all good.
Yeah. I don't have a bad one. I'll just say that.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. Ms. Henderson, Ms. Velma.
Yes, ma'am. My favorite memory are the good friends that I met. Believe it or not, more than 30 plus years that I've been out of the military.
Yeah.
There are 5 of us that talk once a month. I'm going to be visiting my roommate from the military May 2nd down in Savannah, Georgia. And like the young lady just said, to me, the friends out here, they're not the same like the friends in the military. I don't trust them like I do the people in the military. The ones in the military got your back for real. Someone out here will say, oh, girl, I got your back. Don't believe that. They don't. They're just a word. But military people, I'm already lacking these ladies right here and just met them because they was in the military. Yeah. And I know that they know the real truth. So my memory is just my good friends that we text, we call, we FaceTime, we visit South Carolina, Georgia, we all over the place. And I enjoy that. But what I would say to anyone that's going to be going in, well, there's a young lady right now from Springfield, and I'm helping her to get into the Air Force. She's going to go in May. But I would say to people who trying to get enlisted, do not let those recruiting officers pick your life for you, because they will put you any place. You let them know, no, I want to be in the medical field. I want to be an engineer. Whatever you want to be, you go in there and do that. When I first tried to get into pharmacy, I needed one more chemistry course and I needed another biology course. Okay, I went to Malcolm X and I got those because I knew that I wanted to be a pharmacy technician. But the recruiters are out there to place you wherever. You got to speak up and say, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to have something that when I come out of the military, I can have benefit, I can get that job in the society.
Yes.
That's it for me.
That's amazing. Thank you, ma'am. Dr.
I'm kind of like Christy. It's a ton of good memories. So this one is this is the best one, I think, from Iraq. I met a friend, her name is Nicole. She lives out in the Boston, Massachusetts area. She was my hair braider in Iraq. Like, that kind of thing might not be important, right? But to some people, but like, I wanted my hair when I got back home, you know, but we became friends and we would, you know, like you had to visit people in their tent. And so like, I haven't seen her in about 8 years, but she's done so much with leadership. She got out, got back in. She's heavily involved in the political arena. She opened up her own daycare. So like the mentality that you have when you're in the military, it doesn't matter who you are when you get there. What they can do with you or what it does for you, you know, is huge. Professionally, I think my the best position I had was when I returned home, I became the company commander of the unit I was deployed with. So when I was deployed, I was a platoon leader. There's 4 platoon leaders, 1 company commander. We came home, spent maybe 2 years after we had returned. I didn't apply. They were like, do you want this position? Because they saw the leadership that I had. So it's just a lot of great memories. And the last one I'll share is when we literally stepped off the plane in New Jersey when we came home from Iraq, and the families and the babies and the kids. And I have about 1,000 pictures from my deployment from disposable cameras. I would send the film home and tell my family to get them developed, and they kept them for me. And so every Veterans Day, I go digging through the box. Let me find another picture. It's Veterans Day, like, because, you know, that's what made me, that deployment. That really changed or pivoted what I do in life.
Yeah.
And I would also say, just like Ms. Velma said, don't let them pick your job. I had joined the National Guard and I was in college and they were like, oh, we're going to make you, I want to say like a pipe fitter or something, but I would have had to drop out of college for a semester. I'm like, well, I'm going to be an officer. So do I even really need to go to MOS school? And they're like, no, not really. I'm like, why would you send me the one that would make me drop out of college and, be back from graduating? So I'm like, I'm going to skip that. I went to basic training because officers don't have to do either one. But once again, it's seen in a better light from enlisted if you, as an officer, gone through basic training, so they won't be calling me too much of a newbie. Just going to college and being in ROTC. So I would say and that's what I tell people all the time, whatever job you're doing in the civilian world, you can do in the military. And someone's telling you what to do at your civilian job. So, and there's not as many benefits in some of those positions, but I encourage young people all the time, you don't have to go to college. You don't have to, get a job right out of high school. You could join the military and try to figure your life out and get paid while figuring your life out, and not waste money. Get some discipline, travel. I have a friend whose cousin was stationed in Hawaii. She found her husband in Hawaii. She's been Mississippi, on the East Coast. She's been everywhere in the Air Force. And she, out of all her friends, and not that this is a bad thing, but out of all her friends, they had children very young. She did not. And it's like, it kind of positions you like, let me live a little bit before I start, a family. And so it's just like she had to get out of her environment. So I think it's an option. I think it's a very valuable option. People scream about war all the time. And of course, nobody wants their child to go to war. But there are people who've been in the military for years that never went. Like if that's the only reason, like that's a fear, and it's not as common as people try to make it seem like if you join, it's automatically you're going to war. My sister's friend was full-time Air Force for 20 years, never left, so it depends on the job. I think it's an option that takes care of you more than you know. And at a young age, and it can relieve you of some financial burden while you're trying to figure your life out.
Okay, that's good advice. I'm going to tell that to my grandson.
Good advice.
I have one last question because I said I was going to bring this out, and it's really directed at Dr. Coleman. Tell us about After the Peanut. Is that? I know we're all wondering.
It's the name of my company because I was a high school chemistry and physics teacher. I gave an assignment. I told students, find someone that looks like you that's a scientist. And the young Black men were like hemming and hawing, like, I'm like, look, you got George Washington Carver. And then I was like, maybe two other names. And I got stuck. I said, well, now you the teacher. You got to do better than this. So I began to compile a list of people who came after George Washington Carver, as far as scientists and engineers. And so like, I just want to instill in the next generation, like, you can do whatever you want. I tell them people make up stuff all the time, like Google, Uber, Tesla. These things are made up from the stuff we have here on Earth. So you can't be afraid, right? So you got to tinker with stuff. You got to ask your parents for permission to take things apart, put them back together, go outside, pick up some bugs, look at it with a magnifying glass. So just it's an honor, and it's an honor to George Washington Carver to encourage the next generation. So Christy's son has been in our camp last summer. We had the same camp this summer at Lewis University in Romeoville. And so it's 8 weeks, different STEAM topics, just letting the kids explore, learn about careers, things of that nature. So that is what After the Peanut is.
Right.
And it's because of the military, like the school system was like, you're going to stop right here. This is all you can do. And I'm like, I got some other things that I want to do. And I'm like, all right, I see you guys later. I'm going to go over here and do this thing, So it's not always easy, but it is very rewarding.
And where is your organization and who can join?
So anyone can join. We don't have a permanent physical location, but like our summer camp is at Lewis University. What we do mostly is push into schools. One of the greatest things we did this year is we're with the Joliet Central and West transition students. Those are the students who have a few more severe disabilities or learning levels are a little bit lower. We were able to take STEAM to them, and the parents are ecstatic. It's 20 kids, and I'm like, so y'all just never gave them a robot just at a different level for them to try out? And they're like, well, I got you. So we developed this program, and the kids are having a good time.
Good.
So we push into schools. We've done work with sororities. We've done work with community organizations. I have a great team of part-time staff. You know, when I call them, they're teachers and, you know, full-time, but when I call them for a weekend event or a week course or something, they're there.
Excellent, excellent. And then Miss Velma.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you publish my book? Tell us about your publishing company.
Okay. I always liked to write, and I used to just take little pieces of paper and just write. So one day I said, you know something, I'm going to write a book. And my life, I thought, was so difficult coming from the South. I told you, a family of 14. So I decided my first book would be, we lived on a plantation, and the plantation name just happened to be Egypt. So my first book I wrote was From Egypt to Chicago.
I saw that title. I wondered.
Yeah, so I wrote the book about my life and the difficult times that we had, the struggles and whatever, but it made me just get stronger. So I've sold out that book 3 times already. I can't keep it because
Wow.
the young kids, when I go out to the school, they say, oh, you picked cotton, were you a slave? I said, yeah, but I just didn't know I was. So the kids always ask me at the school, the little kid, they say, oh, Miss Henderson, were you a slave? I said, yeah. I said, but I didn't know I was a slave. I thought everybody lived that way. So I wrote the first book, From Egypt to Chicago. It's mainly about my life, my grandparents. Then the next book, I said, oh, I think I can write another book. So the next book I wrote, during this time, women were so obsessed with men that it was making me sick.
Yeah, they still
So I wrote a book. And it's called Let Them Breathe. Why women become obsessed with men. Boy, I had so many men on the radio. Oh, you just saying that because you probably don't have no man. That's why you mad. You know, I was on WVON. They was talking. I said, it's okay. I'm still selling my book. Say what you want to say. So the third book I wrote, I said, let me just try to motivate somebody. I already made them mad with the women's book. So I wrote a book, motivational book. Is it really over when the fat lady sings, or did you just quit? So you got to look at the end. Did you just quit? I said, let the fat lady sing. Nobody should destroy your dreams and goals. She can sing, she can preach, she can do whatever she wants to do, but it ain't over because the fat lady sing. It's over if you quit.
That's right.
So my fourth book that I'm almost finished with right now, it's going to make a lot of people upset. It's on race relation.
Yeah.
And the name of that book is Same Games, but Different Rules in Our Society. And it's Racism, Introduction to Racism 103, because we already passed 101 and 102. Now we're in 103. So that's the book that should be coming out probably sometimes in August. And if you all around, I'll make sure I contact you guys. So I'm going to have a book signing. Hopefully you all can buy a book from me at least.
All right.
I know my female veterans going to buy one. I'm not worried about them. They're going to buy one.
Exactly.
But those are your real friends, the females, the veterans. So I'll let you guys know when it comes out, and I'll just keep writing until someone tell me, guess what? You made a #1 bestseller. I'm not going to stop until I get a #1 bestseller.
There we go. I want to get this last word in. Miss Connie, tell us your church, because we got about 30 seconds.
Redeemed of the Lord Fellowship. I am the minister of outreach at this church. So currently we go into the community and we feed those that are hungry. We're in the process of starting a new program where we will be, we'll have a mobile food truck, and we will be able to travel from one low-income apartment to the other and provide them with free cooked meals.
Oh.
Are you in Louisiana right now?
I'm in Louisiana. Mhm.
Okay.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
good. Very good. All right. I think I got everybody. I got it all in. We got some good advice. I love
Thank
the
you
fact
all so much. Yes.
Thank you for
for
inviting
having
me.
us. Yes.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, and we appreciate your volunteering to do this talk. What will happen next is that we'll publish it. I'll send it out to our marketing specialist. She will put it and send it out to our constant contact list as well as post it on YouTube. So we'll have an opportunity to reach even more people. Thank you to our audience. We actually have several folks in the
Okay.
audience. I'm so excited. I don't think we've had this many people on before. So this was obviously a really good topic. And I'm hoping that it was worthwhile for the audience as well. I'm sure it was because they're all still here. So thank you again so much. You,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Coleman, Ms. Velma,
Thank
Christina,
you.
Barbara, of course, and Dana and Connie. And thank you, Connie, for tuning in from where Louisiana.
Louisiana. Yeah,
Who knew
absolutely.
that I thought you were over there in Joliet somewhere.
No, in Baton Rouge.
Well,
I got contacts
At
everywhere,
church.
Lisa.
I see. Well, thank you all again for joining us, and we hope that you will even check out some of the other videos that we have at the Quad County Urban League YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And with that said, I'm going to say good night and thank you again.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Good
All
night.
right.
so
Thank
much.
you. Good